You need to race at a circuit you've never driven before, and now you're worried you're going to turn up and be outed as an absolute fraud. We're going to discuss 2 really quick and easy methods in order to get you somewhere near the pace in no time. Well, that's the plan.
So the idea of this exercise is to be deliberate in how you approach a new circuit. And this aims to get you within, a couple of seconds, within 10 laps, give or take, depending on your kind of experience or skill level. So this is what I do. This is what I find helps when I go to a new track. And I do these 2 basic exercises for the first few laps. I can then work from there and really kind of sort the lap out. So we're going to jump into Kyalami. Let's load up the sim, and I'm just going to talk through how I approach the first 2 laps, and hopefully this works for you. So we'll just cruise out the pits, but the first thing we're going to aim for, so there's 2 things. First thing, gear. So gear selection for each corner. Second one, we'll get onto in a little bit, but it's braking. There's a spoiler for you. So to find the gear you want to be in, because this changes depending on which car you're in, which formula, everything like that. It's always a different gear, very, very likely to be different gear. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to approach the corner, doesn't matter about your braking or anything. Get to kind of where you think the apex is. And you could see there, just pause it for 1 second to talk about it. We're going to try to get to the apex of the corner and induce a bit of understeer. So we know roughly that kind of speed, and if we're understeering and we're in a gear, that's probably going to be the gear that we're aiming for. Obviously, we want to be mid-revs. So we were in second for that turn 1, and we want to be not really low down so the engine's really labouring and bogging. But we don't want to be bouncing off the limiter. We want to be somewhere in the middle, so we've got some revs to use on the exit, so we're not taking a gear straight away on the exit, and not too low that we're bogging out of the corner. So let's carry on. We're going to call T1 second gear. So coming up to this corner here, leaving third seat, so a bit of understeer there. Probably could have got a bit quicker, but we was quite low in the rev, so that's okay. Right, let's come up to this one. Let's go down to third. We're bouncing off the limiter there, so fourth is probably going to be the one there. So let's go down to third again. Quite low in the revs, but I think that should work out. We're always feeling just like, you can see it's just pushing on understeer. But we can accelerate out of the corner. So we're going for third through that little complex there. This is a really tight one, you can see on the track map, so you know it's going to be kind of first or second really. So tight hairpins are quite an easy one, and then it's just tweaking which gear you would like to be in. Looks like a fast section. Yeah, fifth gear, fine, so a tight one here. So let's go down to third initially. So we've outbraked ourselves. Probably going to be looking at second or third through there, even though we've missed the corner entirely. Third gear, let's call that third. We're just trying to label each corner. Tight hairpin. It's still picking up in the rev, so we didn't have to take third first. So that's 1 lap complete. Very quick, very frantic. But basically, we just want to assign a number to each of the major corners. We've assigned a number in our heads now. You might forget for the first few laps, but that's fine. Realistically, you're going to be doing 3 or 4 laps before you kind of decide on a gear. But the idea is to be deliberate and remember that. Don't worry about braking, lines, or anything like that. You're just trying to assign the gear, and that will go a long, long way to then attacking the lap, because you know what to aim for, and that will help with braking and everything else, trust me. So we'll go through now, we'll just do 1 more lap, deciding on gears, and then we'll go into the next stage. So I think second, so I can feel the understeer. And there's plenty of power on the exit. Same on there, third is fine. Let's have a look. Third will probably be fine through there as well. Too much in third, so we'll go to fourth. We're not understeering off the road too much, so fourth through that fast one. Quite low in the revs there, I think second or third for that corner. So we know we said third last time round. We're not worrying about the line or anything here, we're just purely just thinking about where we are in that rev band and whether we're anywhere near the kind of limit on the apex of that corner. So second gear, there's the understeer. Yeah, quite clearly second that one. And then a couple of tricky corners these last two. So we're going to go for third. Roll into it. It's kind of understeering, we're quite low in the revs. We're going to take second. Try on this one. That's much higher in the rev, so we're going for third through that last one, and then let's try first. Yeah, as you can see there, like, first was too much. I think maybe if you were in a race and you were offline, you'd maybe go for that. So we've done 2 laps now, and we've got an idea of gears per corner. We're now going to go on to the second part. So you want to do that for a few laps, you know, maybe 3-4 laps, and just assign a number, and you're going to be thinking that number as you approach that corner. You're like, right, I need to go to second, I need to go to third. So whatever gear you're in, bang, 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 third gear, you know. And that is going to help with this phase of the practice, which is the braking. Now, there's lots to go into with braking, but again, as a quick and kind of dirty method to get into a lap, we're going to choose a point to brake at. Again, not really worrying about lines, but we're going to brake at that point as hard as we can using the ABS and aim for the gear that we have already assigned to that corner. So this first corner, we're aiming for second gear. So we know we're going to go from 6th down 4 gears to second. So it's a big stop, this one. There's a lot of braking. We're going to choose the 100 meter board at nearly every corner. And what we're going to do, if we run deep and we don't feel like we can achieve the apex in second gear, then we're going to bring it back a little bit. Maybe only 15 meters, 20 meters. And if we then brake with all power and we stop, you know, prior to the bend, and we feel like, well, we could have gone deeper there, and we just keep adjusting that. And we do that for every corner on the circuit. For the example, we're just going to use turn 1 because it keeps it simple. It keeps the process simple and clear, so you can then apply this to every other corners. But we're going to start with the 100 meter board. It might be way too late, but it doesn't matter. We're just trying to assign a reference marker that we can aim for and then work off it. You know, we're talking about the first 5 to 10 laps here. Once you go in and you're really trying to dial it out, you'll just work away from all of these things, gears included. But this is the approach I use, and it's more methodical. So let's use turn 1. We're going to brake at the 100 meter board, see where we end up, aiming for second gear. Right, so actually 100 meter board looks pretty good. That was pure coincidence, but on most tracks 100 meters is about where you want to be. We'll speed it on and we'll go back to turn 1, and we're going to leave it a little bit later, you know, see if we can actually get it stopped a little bit later, because we quite comfortably made the apex there. Okay, so we're just coming around the final corner. We'll go up to 6th gear, and we're going to just brake a little bit later than 100 meters and see where we end up. And that just goes to show you a few meters can make a big, big difference. It's twice we've attacked that corner on the braking. We know it's probably going to be just before 100 meters to brake comfortably. And if you can do that on every corner, you're basically looking for something on the side of the circuit or on the circuit itself, something permanent. You're basically just choosing a reference point to start with. 100 meters is usually quite a good gauge, but you may have to come earlier than that. 100 meters is usually about as late as you can brake. So let's have another quick go at turn 1 and see if we can just about nail the braking. I'm going to go just before 100 meters, and I want it to be a comfortable stop, something I can repeat consistently. So again, kind of ran on there. So for me, that's 100 meters or earlier. What we'll do now, we'll go round to the turn 1 again, and we're going to talk about reference points and braking points. We've got lots of options here. We know that we're going to stop around the 100 meter board. You can just see by the first green flag there. That's probably going to be our braking point for this turn in this car. It will vary from car to car, but at the same time it'll be somewhere near. Obviously if you're in like an M2 like the CS Cup, then it might be slightly later, it might not, because the braking power, it's all relative, aerodynamics, everything, but it's going to be somewhere around there. So you'll find you'll apply the same similar characteristics regardless of what car. But let's just quickly talk about braking points, what to choose and what not to choose, more importantly. So yes, we can use that 100 meter braking board, but what happens in online racing and lots of other racing, cars go off, cars hit the barrier, they slide down there, they're going to wipe that board out, and then you're going to be left with no reference marker. You're going to come around one lap, oh, where's the 100 meter board gone? So you're now going to be guessing. So let's just take a drive up here slowly. You can see just at the top of my dashboard there, that's where the curb starts, and you've got a little marker there as well. And that's actually in relation to the 200 meter board as well, I think. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a mark at the 100 meter mark. But if this curb was a bit shorter, you could maybe use the start of the curb as a reference marker for where to brake. But this curb is really long, so look, we've got marks on the circuit. So in this case, at this circuit, although it's only very fine, there is a marker there. Now when you're hurtling down here in 6th, that might be quite difficult to spot when the border's gone. So what I'd suggest is using something a little bit more permanent. We can see that the tarmac, there's actually a tarmac area there, and a bit of gravel or something in between the 50 and the 100 meter board, and also a marshal post. Now this marshal post is basically at the 100 meter point. So even if all of this is not visible or it's been destroyed, you know that this marshal point, this gantry, where that green flag is, he's put his flag away. See if we can make him put it away. You can see there's a marshal there, so that's going to be a reasonable reference point for braking. Now what not to use. So we've kind of touched on the braking marker board, but it's very easy to use rubber on the circuit. Now, I'm guilty of this, but then when you go into like a practice session or a different time of day where the glare from the sun is slightly different, the tarmac can look different. Certainly do not use shadows, because you know you might go, oh, that shadow at that time of day happens to be in the perfect spot for braking. But when that moves, you're absolutely screwed. So try and use something as permanent as possible. Even just little marks in the grass, you'll see little, you can use shading on the tarmac. But I just generally try to avoid that if I can. I'll try and use a big marker, a solid marker. You know, if you've got orange boards or marshal posts, something like that, use those primarily. If you really have to resort to tarmac, okay, but be prepared to have to alter that. So they're the two things that I like to concentrate on when first starting a new circuit to me or a new track car combination. Hopefully this goes some way to helping you out when you start a new circuit. For now, we'll leave it there. Hopefully this helps, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.